History, Flipped Classroom about the Babylonians Part 1, Ancient and Middle Kingdom. In the study of Babylonian civilization, it is appropriate to divide the analysis into the Old Babylonian Empire, 2000 BC, 1595 BC. Middle Kingdom Age, 1155 B. Traha, 732 BC. Neo-Babylonian Empire, 626 BC, 539 BC. In this flipped classroom, we will deal with the first two periods. Babylonians are derived from Amorites, who were a nomadic tribe in western Mesopotamia. They began to sink several dynasties until they were able to create a real kingdom. The kingdom also included the city of Babylon, hence the term Babylonians. The first king of the first Babylonian dynasty was named Som-Abum, who around the 19th century BC still controlled a small territory. The city of Babylon began to develop significantly around 1900 BC. Near the ancient Sumerian settlement by their called Kadir Ra, which in Sumerian means the reach of the god, from the Akkadian baby, which in Greek translated becomes Babylon, and the early rulers belonged to the nomadic Amorite dynasty. It was with Hammurabi between 1792 and 1750 BC. Here that the Babylonians succeeded in creating an empire by expanding first southward, taking the Sumerian city of Uruk, then eastward by crossing the Tigris. He subdued several cities, including Sis, which he amorably destroyed, and the entire ancient area of Mesopotamia. One day, a French archaeologist discovered a stele made of volcanic stone. It depicted King Hammurabi reverently preparing to receive from the living voice of the god the laws of what would go down in history as the Code of Hammurabi. The stele, now housed in the Louvre Museum, Paris, also consists of a lower part in which are the inscriptions of the laws. Hammurabi also went down in history for his code of laws, the Code of Hammurabi, considered the most extensive and comprehensive code of antiquity. The code was inspired by the principles of Sumerian civilization and was divided into 3 prologue, part of the laws and epilogue. The laws are contained in the second part. The king had a copy of the code delivered to every city in the empire. Hammurabi was succeeded by his son Samsu-iluna, who died in 1712 BC, a period in which Babylonian civilization began a slow decline, in which several territories were lost. The first part of Babylonian civilization officially ended in 1595 BC, the year in which a devastating looting by the Hittites paved the way for the Kassites' conquest of Babylon. This concludes the Paleo-Babylonian period. The Middle Kingdom is a period in which the Babylonians, thanks to the overthrow of the Kassites by the Helamites, became independent again. A series of more or less capable rulers succeeded each other, but basically it is a transitional period before the conquest of Babylon by the Assyrians. We see what ancient Babylon might have looked like in the old Babylonian Empire, a city that soon became one of the most important administrative and religious centers and the capital of the Hammurabi Empire. The dwellings were concentrated around the palace, in narrow spaces, narrow alleys and streets, small terraces above the dwellings. Like the Sumerians, the Babylonians also had the ziggurat. The one in Babylon was called the House of the Foundation of Heaven and Earth, Etemenanki, and was more than 90 meters high. The palace must have been immense, a city within a city, surrounded by walls or a single entrance next to it, the royal quarters. In the center is the large courtyard we assume adorned with palm trees. in which members of the court often stood and celebrated religious nets or ceremonies of honor. At the back of the entrance is the throne room and the religious celebration room behind the priest. On either side, we assume the library and the school of scribes. Flipped classroom, the Babylonians. Summary: the Neo-Babylonian Empire. In the study of Babylonian civilization, it is appropriate to divide the analysis into the Old Babylonian Empire, 2000 BC, 1595 BC. Middle Kingdom Age, 1155 BC, 732 BC. Neo-Babylonian Empire, 626 BC, 539 BC. Having seen the first two eras in the previous summary, we now look at the last part of Babylonian civilization, which comes to fruition in the age of the Neo-Empire, a powerful and even more expansive empire than the older Hammurabi Empire. It was through Nebuchadnezzar II that the Neo-Babylonian Empire reached its greatest expansion. He succeeded in expanding the Babylonians' domains to the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. With Nebuchadnezzar, the empire reached 500,000 inhabitants. The Babylonians were able to refound their empire through Nabopolassar, who was the progenitor of the dynasty of Nebuchadnezzar II. Nabopolassar succeeded in conquering Babylon in 626 BC and had himself crowned king. In particular, we also recall, in addition, the military expansion campaigns of Nebuchadnezzar I and Nebuchadnezzar II, particularly those of Nebuchadnezzar II from 597 BC and 587 BC, in which the king conquered Jerusalem, deporting its inhabitants. Nebuchadnezzar II was not only a great strategist and leader. He is also remembered for his obsessive pursuit of urban splendor. In fact, he is credited with two important works. 1. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. 2. Ishtar Gate. Hanging Gardens are considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The Ishtar Gate is the other great wonder of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. It is a majestic gate that Nebuchadnezzar II had painted blue and returned with sacred figures of bulls and dragons. The newly established Babylonian Empire came to an end with the taking of Babylon in 539 BC by the Persians, who conquered Babylon, founding the first and ancient Persian Empire that would dominate the ancient world until 331 BCE. Nasuko. The conquest of Babylon by the Persians marks the end and demise of Mesopotamian civilizations. Let us see what Babylon must have looked like, more or less, in its second heyday, in the time of Nebuchadnezzar II, in this reconstruction. Imposing towers stood in the direction of the entrance to Ishtar's Reach. The imposing ziggurat, hanging gardens, and Ishtar Gate Reach are among the decorative and monumental elements that distinguish the reborn Babylon. Priests played an important role in society. The Neo-Babylonians were polytheistic. Among the gods worshipped was Nema, the goddess of the earth and fertility. Compared with the previous kingdoms, the population of Babylon had greatly increased. From what you can see, the houses are larger than in the period of Hammurabi. Babylon was at the height of its splendor. Nebuchadnezzar II observes from the royal palace Babylon. Thank you for viewing illustrated video created and animated by flipped prof. Marco Mellis.